Hey, yo, well, this is Zacchaeus with another live word of the day. And I want to share a great story with you. One of the Central Park Five became a New York City councilman, the same city that accused him. Check this out.
In a city that prides itself on comebacks and values fortitude, perhaps above all else. A man who, as a teenager years ago, was busted wrongly as one of the infamous Central Park Five attackers, has been elected to the New York City Council tonight. Yusaf Salaam, soon an elected official of a city that wrongly arrested him, wrongly put him into prison, and then, drenched in scandal and humiliation, paid him millions. Here's Jim Dolan.
When the city council candidate arrived tonight, it looked pretty much like any other victory celebration, but this candidate's story isn't even a bit like any other.
The beautiful thing about my story is that I was counted out. I was one of those who was pushed into the margins of life. And now we're here right now.
But it has been some journey. Yusaf Salaam was just 15 years old when he, along with 4 others, were arrested and later convicted for the rape and beating of a woman in Central Park in what came to be known nationally as the Central Park Jogger case. The brutal assault of a white woman in Central Park, allegedly by a group of Black and Latino teenagers, riveted the city and inflamed racial tensions in New York and the nation. A young real estate developer named Donald Trump poured gas on that fire by calling for the execution of the 5 in a full-page ad in several New York newspapers. But Salaam and the other 4 were innocent and later exonerated using DNA evidence. Salaam served 8 years in prison. Tonight, Yusaf Salaam was elected to the New York City Council from Central Harlem and said his journey is his people's journey.
They look at the color of our skin and not the content of our character. Today is a new day.
In the darkest days,
Amen.
I didn't imagine much light at all.
Salaam's mother has been with him through all of it.
The whole family worked on that to try to see that he came out of this situation as whole as possible.
Mr. Salaam does not mind talking about the bad days. He doesn't even mind talking about the worst days. He says there are lessons to be learned in all of them. He's just glad the story didn't end there. Did you ever think you weren't going to make it?
I never thought I wasn't going to make it. I kept my eyes on the prize.
Yeah.
I saw the light at the end of the tunnel. I knew that I was counted out, but as they say, a setback is a great thing for a comeback. And look at this comeback that we are coming back to right now. Oh, man.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, great story. Yusaf Salaam had, in 1989, I was 14, 1989, that year, when the Central Park five boys, 5 young Black and Latino young teenagers from high school were hanging out in Harlem, just hanging out. Upper East Side of New York City, Upper East Side of New York City, just hanging out, and they just went to hang out, and they walked around Central Park. Actually, it was not Harlem; it was Central Park. They walked around, they hanged out, just to hang out, and they were hanging out, and a woman, young white woman, was brutally beaten and raped that same day they were hanging out. That same night they were hanging out, that they planned to hang out. You know, Yusuf Salaam was among the 4 young men that was hanging out with him. He was hanging out and they just called him to hang out. And he decided, and of course, of young teenagers, 14, 15 years old, you're going to hang out. You're not going to say no. You're going to hang out. And they were falsely accused of beating and raping a white woman. And Donald J. Trump wanted them executed. But they were falsely accused. And Yusaf Salaam served 8 years in prison. Lost time, 8 years in prison. And when you spend time in prison, you lose a lot of time of your life, of being free. You lose a lot of time. That freedom of going and coming as you please, that freedom of hanging out and just enjoying life, especially as young men. And it's hurt, it's painful because you've been accused of, much people are in prison because of, they're accused of things that they didn't do. Young black men or females are accused of things that they didn't do, but they're accused and they serve the time. But Salem, Yusuf Salem, as time went on, and how they got free. The man that the young dude that actually did it admitted that he did it, and they were released after serving all that time in prison. After all that time in prison, they were finally free. Finally free. And as you can see today, Yusuf Salem became the city council, the very city that accused him, of rape, of beating and raping a white woman, the very city that accused him of beating a woman. Now, years later, that was since 1989, almost 40 years later, 40 something years later, now he been elected in the city council, to be elected as a city council. And he's elected. He won the seat, and now he's a city councilor. But as you can see, he held on to the faith and he said, I may be out, especially as young black men, you may be counted out, and young black women may be counted out and pushed aside. But remember, God has a purpose in your life. You may be counted out by many, maybe pushed aside and forgotten, and maybe been told too that you'll never amount to anything. Maybe you've been told that you never amount to anything and that you'll never catapult to the next level, according to the society, according to what society sees, what they see, and according to what people see that's around you, that hang around you. And maybe it could be your old, maybe it could be your folks, maybe it could be people that's around you in your community, in your neighborhood. They see you as a nobody. They see you as a person that's not going to amount to anything. And they see you as that person that's not going to catapult to the next level or amount to anything. So what they do, they count you out. That's what they do. And what they do, they look at others and say, well, because they look at that person and say, well, that's who the person, because they look at what that person doing, so they say that person is going to make it, not you. But oh no, God is not going to count you out. The world may count you out. Remember the song from Marvin Sapp? Yeah. God has something better for you. Remember that song? Man, God has something for you. You may be counting me out. You may count me out. You don't see me as much, but God sees me as a lot. Yes. I'm trying to find the exact title of that Marvin Sapp song. The title of it, I can't play it, but I'm doing the... Yes. Yes. Hold on. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Yes. Marvin Sapp hit songs. You seen the best of me, that's right. Couldn't forget it. I couldn't remember it, but yeah. When you seen the worst of me, God seen the best in me. When you seen the worst in me, God seen the best in me. That's right. Many may count you out. Many people, even people that claim that they love you, may count you out. Many may count you out. But God sees the best in you. God sees the best in you. So don't count all your losses. There's hope in Jesus Christ. There's hope in the Lord. And I'm glad to share the story of Yusaf Salem, because he's a personal testimony of God seeing you through. He's a personal testimony. He's a testimony that God don't count you out, that God still has hope for you, no matter what your past look like, no matter what happened in your past, no matter what demise you face in your past or dilemmas you face in your past. God has a hand on you, and He has hope for you, and He will see you through. No matter what your dilemma is, God will see you through. No matter what situation you're in right now, God is capable of seeing you through. And Yusuf Salem was locked in prison for 8 years, accused of something he didn't do, with the four other young men. Now they're free because somebody came forward and admit that they did that to their young lady. They viciously attacked that young woman and raped her. And now God has put Yusuf, I believe God has put Yusuf Salem to be a testimony to others, to encourage other young black men that are going through some dilemmas in their life, going through some hardships in their life, or in prison. God has put Yusuf Salem as a vehicle to be a testimony to those who are facing some tight situations. And that could be you. And that could be all of us. God encourages us to be the best. He has a purpose in our lives. So when you're facing obstacles, you may be facing, maybe you're battling with your health, maybe you're battling with making income, maybe you're unemployed. You may be unemployed and it's causing a lot of stress in your family. You and your family is giving you and your family a lot of stress. Or maybe you're not making enough money to put food on the table, so it's causing a lot of friction and stress in the family. Or maybe you're facing prison time, and now people just gave up on you and they're just pushing you aside. But God see the best in you. They may see the worst in you, but God sees the best in you. Song from Marvin Sapp, very powerful song. And Yusuf Salem is a testimony, living testimony, that there's hope. There's hope. When you get up in the morning, you open your eyes and you put your 2 feet from the bed. You get up from the bed and you put your 2 feet on the floor. You still have hope. When you wake up in the morning, you still have hope. You still have hope. You may be battling with your health, but you still get up in the morning. You still have hope. You still have hope. Well, the live word of the day is coming out of Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you, not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future. Well, this is Zacchaeus with another live word of the day. God bless and be safe out there. And if you like what I shared, thank you for smashing that like button. Also, subscribe to my channel, Zacchaeus Gospel. Peace and blessings.